Greetings and God bless. So today I was listening to a book, just talking. It was like about the English language, and the word rock and roll is actually a military term, and it's a setting on an automatic weapon. So I wrote it in the description box, but there's like setting one, setting two, and setting three, which is rock and roll, which is to make the gun fully automatic. Now, all my life, I was told it was some sort of term for illicit um, intimacy. And so the fact that rock and roll is a setting on a weapon, but it's a term used for music and popular music, and the fact that there's been this brainwashing, mental manipulation of the American populace, and of course, anybody who consumes American music or Western music of the rock and roll genre, I just am like, wow. So it's basically rock and roll is a weapon set on the most deadly setting. And of course, traditional folks would be like, yeah, of course, it's demonic. And then regular, average people are going to be like, oh, you're being a crazy religious person. But the fact that this is a medical setting, I mean, a military setting on a weapon, and that's what it's called, and then music is the same term, like you don't have to call that music rock music or rock and roll music. Like you could have called it, I don't know, piddly fluffies or something like that. So I think that there's evidence in plain sight, and of course we're given disinformation. Oh, it means this. Oh, of course, and so I just think we really have to be aware and protect our minds. And we can't completely, it's very hard to just unplug from everything, computers or electricity or whatever, being amongst other people. That's not going to work, and it's not functional. But I think it's important to be like, oh, okay, so this rock music that's playing out of the car or the restaurant or whatever, like rock and roll is a setting of a automatic weapon to cause the most damage, and I think that as much as I love some rock and roll music, some of it's so beautiful and amazing and mind bending and whatever, but it's not really there to help you. It's there to hypnotize, and I don't know all the things, do mind control, install demons, as much as I don't want to, you know, like music is such a lovely thing. And I would say rock music, I really love it. But, I think just like anything, it's dangerous. Like there's a place for beer, there's a place for opium, there's a place for all sorts of sketchy things, But like if you are in control of your life, if you are in control of your mind, you need to know this. And you need to be careful and selective. And if you have children or, head of the family or whatever, I mean, like we're in a paranormal realm. We're in a supernatural realm. And so that's a whole other ball of wax. But we also have agents working against us. And it seems like it's been for a long time. And so, anyways, it's tough out there, but the more information you have, the more choices you can make of what's good for you. Like, okay, maybe instead of watching something creepy on Netflix or whatever, like go have a board game or go out to a restaurant or go be with visit family or something like that. Like there's really good options out there still available as of February 2024. And even if they try doing some weird globalist whatever, there's always something fun to do. Play charades, play cards, play go fish, tic tac toe. I mean, like you really can have fun without technology and among your friends and loved ones. Uh, you know, I mean, you just also need to not be so addicted to your devices and substances and dysfunctional behavior. You do have to have, like, you really need to keep up with your social skills. Like you can't just be online playing video games forever and somehow think you're going to be able to deal with your difficult boss or your difficult family member or whatever, difficult people. Like, you do need practice. And I am no perfect person. Um, but you do have to have exposure to actual real life human stress, this real three-dimensional reality kind of difficulties, um, rather than insulating yourself with having, you know, whatchamacallit, like the driver pick up your food at the McDonald's and bring it home to you and stuff like that. Like, you really have to keep up as 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 basic and as little as you can manage. You do have to keep up your skills of navigating challenges of people and situations and stuff like that. And again, I have stuff I'm procrastinating on that I'm not doing right, but I do try to engage in some challenges, some difficulties that I can manage. That's not going to wreck me, but that kind of keeps my ability to set boundaries, have boundaries, um, or whatever it is that maybe your topic. But in this over technological world where tech is our coping mechanism, so we turn to our devices. We're on a device rather than interact with family. Um, so we're surrendering our humanity and our emotional intelligence when all we're doing is watching videos or making content or just dealing with apps all the time rather than interacting with family, friends, acquaintances, and just general people. And we really, it's aggravating and unsatisfying as it may be. These are important things. These are valuable parts of being a human being. And I admire people who have a lot of family and constantly dealing with family drama or friends drama, and they're just there and capable and struggling and suffering, but they're still handling it fairly well. I really admire that, and it's a real strength. So even if it's not our strong suit, like, you need to still keep developing, and keep just exposing yourself in a manageable way to other people rather than holding up, in your room or in the basement or whatever. Um, so, uh, because there are systems that are out to get us, and we can't just hide our head in the sand and fantasize and be in fantasy cults, um, like we need to be in reality and have some ability of navigating reality, rather than like be in a Harry Potter cult or something like that where you're living as Harry Potter or something like that. Like, so because I think that's a lot of what's going on today. Like, people are they're living like they're some sort of fantasy character. um and this is like political, like the politics. Like, I think what's going all these political charged things are warfare against Americans. It's to pit Americans against each other. And I think, like, there's some people who think that they're doing the world a favor, or they're doing a certain demographic a favor by blocking the sidewalk and carrying signs and screaming at passing cars. uh like they think that they are some hero, unfortunately. And, you know, and you can tell that they're not, just by how poorly they treat somebody who's trying to just walk by on the sidewalk, and that's just an experience I had recently. But, um, you have to be able to tolerate being in your own skin and authentically be yourself. And I know that's a lot to ask. I know that's a big thing, but you need to be in this reality and honest with yourself if you're going to see through the manipulation that's going on right now. And if you're going to transcend this hypnosis, this rock and roll warfare, psychological warfare using entertainment, like that's being perpetuated against us. And I don't know all the aspects of what like psychological engineering or psychopolitics, I think it's called. I don't know how all of that works, but I am getting a sense like it operates off of post-traumatic stress disorder. And so we've had, right, crisis after crisis, shootings, derailments, explosions, crazy fires, not burning trees, but burning homes in a certain little plot, sort of like all these 9/11s going on all the time. So when there's these endless crises, it demoralizes people. It makes people depressed. I know it does for me when it's been going on for years, and like the whole injection stuff and masking stuff and nasal, like breaking the crib form plate stuff like that, and just that everybody was into it and, still into it, not ever realizing what happened, like the facts of the matter, that you're fine when you traveled to Miami or Wisconsin or whatever on a plane with people who are coughing and throwing up and stuff like that. You're fine, right? So there wasn't anything that to cause you to say you wish your friend who didn't want a mask or get injected that they should die. But when people are constantly traumatized, it makes them more easy to manipulate. That's what I'm learning about, like the social engineering, this psychological engineering, psychopolitical engineering. And so when people are traumatized, they can turn to coping mechanisms. And so these coping mechanisms are a form of numbing. So you can either numb and erase the memory, like become amnesiac, or you can face the pain, face the memory, process it, and become bigger for what horrible things happened to you. And yeah, it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of strength. It takes skill, either your own or other people who are skilled at helping you overcome whatever tragedy or horror that you experienced. But when people do have that like emotional resilience, I guess you could say, they're not as easily traumatized and manipulated by the hidden hand. But a lot of people, I guess, are more superficial or whatever. I don't know. They don't see value in emotional growth or something. I don't know. I'm not trying to put them down. What's the category of people who don't want to face what horrible things happen and who numb themselves, whatever that is, whatever that motivation is. So those people, so they're kind of running things, because it's a lot of people. It's a rare individual that really is authentic and genuine and honest and has the strength of character to really feel what's going on. So those are the people who aren't going to be hypnotized. And then the rest of the more superficial people, they are hypnotized, and they want everybody, because they're more superficial, they want everybody to validate their hypnosis. And when you don't validate their hypnosis, they get very mad, because deep down inside, they know that they're lying to themselves, because that's what hypnosis is. It's a lie. So, and that makes it dangerous for those who are not lying to themselves. It makes it like that, the honest, authentic, emotionally mature person it becomes endangered to the more superficial people, because the superficial people want to live in their hypnosis, so they want to get rid of the truth, you know? And it's like that kill the messenger kind of mentality. And I definitely have experienced that, because I'm not pushing my own agenda or my own beliefs. I just say this is my belief. But people are like, it's too painful for them to know that there's another way, that there's another perspective. And so yeah, that is the question, is like, how do you navigate in a world of hypnotized people? Because I'm beginning to wonder if, like, because you always, there's this cliche of people who are innovatives, but that innovative, they were very innovative, but then they ended up in a mental institution, like the guy who discovered you're supposed to wash your hands before you operated on somebody, and he was put in a mental institution. And that's a thing. Like they've done that to some of the victims from that country in the Middle East that in October that was invaded. Like, the people from the country that was invaded, they were put in a mental institution because they were saying their country that was invaded actually killed them. So they were institutionalized. And but anyways, so that's a thing that the powers that be do, is when somebody is credible and tells the truth, they get discredited and taken out, either institutionalized or imprisoned or killed, you know. Or like under like a targeted individual, where they're gang stalked. Like, that's a big thing. You can look that up on the internet. There's a lot of gang stalking going on, just ordinary people, like, for no reason, it seems. But I do wonder if it's like, it's kind of good people, honest people, courageous people, not quite the superficial people that just say, or yes to anything, yes to child trafficking, yes to killing patients because I want my job, I want my credibility, I worked so hard, I want everybody to think I'm great. Basically, anybody who's around right now as a trusted agent of the public good, they've done something like that, because there's, especially if they've been around since 2020, and if they're not talking about freedom, those people participated in some type of execution, human trafficking, or something that is unconstitutional, illegal, and immoral, in my opinion. Like, because how did anybody, like, you had to really fight to stay in your job in like 2021, 2022. People I knew of killed themselves because their job was forcing an injection, and they didn't want to have a DNA building, growing, self-assembling inside of themselves. They would rather die than get the mark of the beast. And anyway, so yeah, and these people who happily going about, like, think nothing of what happened the past 3 years, think it was all fine or whatever, no big deal. It's a big deal. And God is going to handle it all. That's the thing. Because it's like, it's too much for us ordinary people to figure out. And the crimes were so massive and implemented on such a vast scale. Like, I don't even think we have the manpower to deal with it. I think it's even beyond what happened with Nazis or Russians or something like that. So yeah, and what's so weird is, like, very, like, nobody who participated in these executions of innocent patients or human trafficking of children and adults, like nobody thinks there's a problem. Nobody, because it's like you're not supposed to think, like, so anybody who's got their paycheck, you're not allowed to think. And so millions agree with this. Millions are like, my house, my lifestyle is more important than my soul. It's going to be a long time, meaning eternity, that you're going to have to live with that. And, but, the Bible says God wants everybody to have salvation. So look into it. All right. Tell me what you think about the whole rock and roll terminology and this hypnotizing of everybody and people just going along with it. Thank you for watching. God bless.